Republican candidates looking to capitalize on their big moments from the slugfest in Milwaukee. 8 presidential hopefuls clashing in the first Republican debate, going toe-to-toe over the key issues voters care about as they look for a boost in the polls.
I will never let the deep state bureaucrats lock you down.
I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool.
Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten a Democratic incumbent in an election.
America can do for anyone what she's done for me.
Our nation is in trouble, and it's in trouble because of failed leadership. And the solution is not 4 more years of Joseph Biden.
I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this stage.
But there's one candidate standing out. Vivek Ramaswamy grabbing a lot of the headlines and the attention of his fellow debaters.
Let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage?
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. The last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur.
Now is not the time for on-the-job training.
The reality is that today, Ukraine is not a priority for the United States of America. I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon. Eyes of a professional politician. There you have it.
Your watch, so the reality make America less safe. You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows.
And you know what? The foreign policy experience.
And the reviews are in from the liberal media. You'll never guess it, but I think they didn't like it very much.
I think DeSantis was absolutely terrible. I really thought that, like, he was performing, and forgive me, at kind of a Doug Burgum level.
It was all so miserable.
The public got treated to a whole heap of crazy.
Vivek is, like I said, annoying. He was intrusive. He was disrespectful. He was conspiratorial. He was obnoxious at times.
It's just really a shame to see how far the Republican Party has come.
Judge Jeanine Pirro. You've been talking to everybody about your thoughts. Tell us what you thought about last night.
First of all, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I was glued to the television, and Red 10 and Stella were too for a while until they finished their biscuits. Listen, I mean, I love democracy in action. And, you know, to me, it was like talking to a jury, right? The American people are the jury. These people are the lawyers trying to sell themselves to the American people. I thought Vivek, he was the populist guy who was the non-politician in business like Donald Trump, who was the first one to say, even if Donald Trump is convicted, I'll go for it, even though they all swore that they would support him. And everybody is like looking at everybody else to try to figure that out. I was impressed with Nikki Haley. I have to tell you, I was very impressed with Nikki. She has a lot of foreign policy experience, and she showed it. I heard someone on Fox this morning, and I was very disturbed by it. For a couple hours, actually, it bothered me. The individual said, you know, Nikki Haley lost her cool. She was yelling at Vivek. There was real resentment. And I said to myself, why is he picking on the woman when the men were all yelling at each other as well? I mean, that was very offensive, and I wonder how many Americans thought that. And with respect to DeSantis, I was happy with what he said, but he's just awkward. He had like this awkward smile whenever he finished. You know, it was like he didn't know what he should do, like taking his 5th grade picture. And then Chris Christie, I mean, he was a bulldog. I think there were some things that he said, you know, that were not total anti-Trump, where he tried to actually, it seemed like he wanted to be in the race as opposed to just be an anti-Trumper. And finally, Pence, it was out of character for him to say some of the things that he said. But Trump was talking about yesterday. And I mean, Pence was talking about yesterday. And it really didn't matter. So to me, the winners were Vivek, Nikki Haley, and DeSantis, who I think probably made some ground up. But the one thing that I loved, that I cheered about, was when Vivek got up and he said, drill, frack, and burn coal, and make us energy independent again. And he connected it to the economy. And that was the most important connection, I thought.
That was a nice, clean and concise line. Greg, what was your big takeaway from last night?
Well, I think the
the big winners today were, from last night, were Brett Baer and Martha McCallum.
Yes.
I have that in my notes, too.
Did you? Well, I beat you to it. Thanks. That's why I told you to come to me before her.
Good. You did?
But they did it. They had to put up with a pretty loud audience, and they did pretty well. And we talked about it yesterday, that the person that zigs while everybody zags is going to come out ahead. And I felt like I'm not going to jump on the Vivek, hysteria train. It's too early, whatever. But you do win when you make everybody else react the same way. And Trump used to do that all the time, where he would say something and the 20 people on the stage would go, ah! Ah! And so that's what Vivek was doing there. He would say something, and what did he say? Bought and paid for. That was the phrase. And that just triggered everybody, and they all say the same thing. And that works to your advantage, because then everybody's focusing on you. And that's what was the most interesting thing about this, to me, was that the focus was on Vivek and not on DeSantis. DeSantis is supposed to be number 2, right? They didn't treat him like that. They treated Vivek like number 2. I also think Donald Trump not being there ended up being a big plus for these candidates, because when you have a personality that outsized, that bright, then you can't see the other people. And so that gave...
Kind of like us on the show with you.
Yeah. I was going to, that was in my notes. No, but Vivek got a strong opening. I think a few of the other people probably did better. But again, he seemed like it goes to that thing. It's like, if you're versed in persuasion, you will always have an edge, and you can kind of tell he's got it. I think it's too early to say who the Dems should be worried about. Yeah. Right.
Or even if the Dems are worried about any of these people on the stage. Dana.
Yeah, I think too early. Maybe the person that they're worried about is actually not on the stage.
Right.
I don't know. So I thought one of the interesting things for me, I had never actually been in a debate room. I've always either been in the staff room, the spin room, or on set getting ready to do analysis afterwards. So I got to be there. And what was interesting was when Vivek said that you're all bought and paid for, it wasn't just the people on the stage that reacted. I had never been in there where the audience was like, "How dare you, sir?" And that was like this moment. But they ebbed and flowed. Like sometimes they cheered, sometimes they didn't, and they cheered in interesting ways. What I thought really won last night were issues and policy. I think people were hungry to hear, what actually would you do to make my life better? And go ahead.
I was going to ask you, who is the audience? Because if they're
made up, the RNC, they are people who are GOP donors, RNC people.
Bought and paid for, Dana. Bought and paid for.
Absolutely.
No, but that's so. I was just wondering why they were so loud for some people, not loud for other people.
Yeah, there was a section. Everybody got a few seats for everybody. Right. Yeah. The other thing is, millions watched, great ratings, more than anticipated. So what I really thought was interesting was on America's Newsroom, we had this voter panel from Wisconsin.
Oh, I saw that.
So there's 9 people for both days, before the debate and after the debate. And so we were able to talk to them and hear. And the consensus for them was there was a lot of people that their hearts might have been with Vivek, but their heads were with DeSantis and Haley. And that was their consensus. Although one of them, Gerard, he loves Tim Scott, and he was solidified on Tim Scott after that. They also sort of liked Doug Burgum, but they said, but maybe he could be something else in the government. The other thing is that the voter panel, they had some young people, and the young people tend to really like Vivek, but all of them said, but he's too polarizing, he's energizing, but he probably couldn't win. And what's interesting about being in Wisconsin, that's where we'll be a year from now, or 11 months from now for the RNC convention, is Wisconsin is a must-win for the Republicans. So I asked all of them, who here thinks that any of these candidates, could they beat Biden in 2024? And they felt like certainly that this is a field that they have a lot of pride in.
Okay. And now the Democrat takeaway was what? Do you fear any of these people?
Quaking in my boots. No, I found it really interesting. I'm glad that we're actually in season now versus talking about like, oh, in a few months we'll get to see. Now it's happening. And I think that that's really important for the American people. I think the fact that Donald Trump wasn't there was an advantage for them to be able to, at least it took about 45 minutes for them to start talking about him. And obviously it was important. And I'm glad that Brett and Martha asked them about, how they're responding to the indictments, if he gets convicted, et cetera. But this guy's up 30, 40 points in the primary. I did not see any credible threat to Donald Trump winning the primary here. I did see a lot of people who were talking about their records, and I thought it was fascinating that 5 of the 8 were governors. So they have real executive experience to talk about. They can discuss how they brought down the debt. I love that Chris Christie, and I know you're just going to say Democrats love Chris Christie for this, but talking about how he governed a blue state and how he was able to get that done. I think that that's important, too. On the Vivek front, I did think that he and Nikki Haley seemed like the winners to me, and that's been confirmed by the polling right afterwards. I thought it was very strange that he started off by copying Barack Obama. So that line about the skinny guy with a funny name, that's what Barack Obama said when he accepted the nomination at the DNC. Why would you copy someone as your introduction to the world? And not only copy someone, copy a Democrat and copy the most popular Democrat.
Don't you hate plagiarists?
Yeah. Touche.
I don't get that, touche.
Biden.
Oh, okay. Or remember when Melania copied Michelle Obama? Touche. No? No one's into that? Thank you, Kirsten, for laughing. Okay, so I thought that that was strange. And I do think that as time goes on, lots of this is bubbling up with Vivek, these little pieces of like the 9/11 comments, and the audio has been released that he was, he took a Soros-funded scholarship. He was already a millionaire when he took the money to go to law school, which seems pretty deceitful. I think people are going to start digging into him. On the Nikki Haley front.
Wait. If someone gives you a scholarship and you have $1 million in the bank, you don't take it?
$2.2 million.
You don't take it?
My understanding is that you weren't supposed to get it if you could actually afford to go.
Oh, so he's not worthy of the scholarship.
Well, there are scholarships that are based on merit. I think then there's need.
There's need versus merit.
Correct.
So he took a need one.
Who knows?
It's not like he checked off a box that wasn't authentic on his form.
No one
Here
ever
we
does
go.
that.
Yes, Elizabeth Warren said that she was Native American. I got that one. Okay, I enjoyed Nikki Haley. I do think, and I felt this way similarly even during the Amy Coney Barrett confirmation, where she's obviously not my political cup of tea, but I do think seeing a woman up there is just fundamentally exciting. I thought she did a great job. She was the only realistic person. Yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
No, you stop it.
No, you stop it.
No.
You stop it.
She was great on foreign policy.
Let's all stop it, because we got to pay some bills.
Advertisers, take it away.
All right.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.